So yeah, thanks everyone for attending. Just a quick PowerPoint to go over a few things that we're going to be talking about today. Really want to just kind of give you a basic understanding of really what is Intacct. From that point, we're going to be diving into the software, going through a couple key issues, couple workflows, how we're going to be able to see some of the reports, dashboards, what those different capabilities look like. And then at the end, any questions you guys have, we definitely can go over all of those. So as I mentioned, I wanted to start off and kind of go into really what is Intacct. Well, Intacct is a cloud-based project construction finance solution. And really why we see a lot of customers getting into this market or even looking into that is really a couple of different avenues, workflows, as well as integration. So that goes to one of the points I had on the previous slide with Intacct having that seamless API, allowing us to communicate with all different providers, giving you really the best in class in terms of your software solution. So no longer the days we limit what you guys have to be able to communicate data to. A lot of that can be created or is already there today. So here, the other thing I always like to bring up is when you hear of Intacct, a lot of people might say, well, Intacct's a new system, and that's far from the truth, to be honest with you. Intacct's been around since 1997, and it's had all of these modules there. The newer portion, I should say, within the last 5 years is really building out on the construction side. So as you see these certain fields like the construction module, inventory, spend management, purchase, you see how those are different colors. Those are really what Intacct has enhanced specifically around the construction division. So a lot more contracts capabilities than they've needed before. So again, not a new system, been around for quite a long time, but we're really enhancing the capabilities specifically to the construction side of the business. And like I said, quick slides, and we're going to jump into the software. So when I first open up Intacct, a couple things I want to kind of go over the housekeeping, if you will. As you know, Intacct is cloud-based. So what does that mean? Anywhere you guys are able to access the system, whether that's on the road, such as the CFMA conference, or even on a mobile device, essentially wherever you're going to have browser access, you're going to be able to log in and see these crucial data points that you want to see. Again, the other point as well is it is open API. So what that allows us to do is communicate to those different data silos that you have, whether you're using a Procore, a TimberScan, or any of those other party programs. We're able to communicate data back and forth a lot easier, as well as if something's not there, maybe an integration's not there, we can also build out an integration. That's really some of the power of that open API allows us to do. All right, so today I'm logged in as an admin user. So you see in the top right, each user when they log in is going to have their own email login that they'll have. And it really can get very granular with a level of depth that we're able to set up rights or rules. So again, as I'm an admin or versus a project manager, an admin is going to allow me to see everything in the system. Project manager we may not want them to see the accounts payable, the accounts receivable, or anything like that, the cash management module. So essentially what we'll do is hide all of those modules so they don't even see that on their applications dropdown, which is what we see on screen. The other thing as well is if there is a case, say we wanted to give them access to create purchase orders or view that, you can even get this down to more of a granular level. So I can say, hey, I'm going to give you access to that module, but you're in a read only, or you're in a write, you can't edit anything after the fact. Again, a lot of power to give the people who need to see the information, that information, and also people who don't need to see that information, we're going to hide that for you. Something that you might see too as well when I click through some of the different modules is some of them have the little star next to it. So this is going to go into some of the navigation capabilities. And when we're going over here to our favorites tab, you're going to see that it has a kind of custom favorite tab to those specific users. These could be your day in, day out task items that you use every day. So I can easily select on a project, go directly to the module without having to go into our projects tab, find that specific section we want to go into, and open that up. Another way to navigate is over here on the search field. So when I'm wanting to say we might have a vendor who calls me and says, hey, I have a question on a particular invoice or a particular bill that you had sent out, and I need to go and look at that. So what we do is we go ahead and hit the search for that bill number, which is the 654. I can either search the entire system, or I can simply just say, I know it's a bill, so I just want the system to search in that particular field. So, well, the system will go out. It's going to go find anything that meets that number criteria. So in the case I typed in 654, found the rest of the remaining bill number, which is 263. And now I'm able to go into that bill and view it or answer any questions that that individual might have. Okay. So when we open up a bill, a couple things you're going to see first and foremost is we're going to see this kind of summary tab here. Intacct does a great job of kind of giving you guys those at a visual glance. How are we doing? Or at a visual glance, tell me a high level overview of whatever we're looking at, whether it's a project page or a contract, or even in this case, a bill. So in here, I can see obviously when the bill is due, how overdue it is, have we received any payment on that? What's the status of? Again, giving you this quick at-a-glance information. The next thing that obviously you might have seen is over on the right-hand side, it's going to have the ability to have a side-by-side image being displayed of that particular invoice. So again, as we include those attachments, I can now easily be able to reference that exact document to ensure that all of these fields are filled out correctly. All right. Now, on the bills page too, is after we've reviewed the bill, a big thing that I always like to reiterate here is I'm not having to go into a different module. I've been in, or I opened up the bills tab, I selected the edit option, and pending that I have the rights, I'm able to make any necessary changes that I need to from this standpoint. So again, reiterating, we don't have to open up another module, go in there, find the bill number. Now I found the complete one, select that, do anything. It's all at that search capability. And again, pending that you have the rights, you're able to make those changes. So as we scroll down to, something you can notice is down here, there's a little post option, right? That's referencing to Intacct's collaboration. And what that really will allow us to do is that it's an inner company communication tool, so just our organization, and that will allow us to message individuals on maybe something like a bill, a project, a contracts page. Again, wherever you are within Intacct, it allows you to message individuals any questions or something that you might have. So in this particular case, I see that the bill has not been processed, and I reached out to Steve and said, Steve, what's going on? What's taking so long, right? And a couple things will be happening right there is, first, Steve could go up into his top little ribbon next to his user and be able to see that there's been a communication to him. It's a little message center like you would get with a text. So I'm able to see, hey, there's a question addressed to me, and then he can click that, taking him directly to the bill. The next thing that will also happen is he could receive an email notification. And on that email, it's not a generic email that just says, hey, there's a question. Click here and go find out what the question is. No, on the body of that email, it's going to say whatever the question is. So in this particular case, Steve has received an email from Intacct saying, hey, Jared has a question. What's taking so long, right? And Steve's able to click on that particular hyperlink. And again, not taking him to a generic page where now he has to go find what bill he's referencing or anything like that. It takes him directly to that particular bill, allowing him to much more efficiently get the question addressed and kind of continue on with the workflow. Okay. So as I jump back into our dashboards, a couple things I really want to explain on dashboards. So currently we're viewing this dashboard as a project manager. You guys have the ability to create multiple dashboards, whatever they want to. This one is just sheerly based on a role type, so we can see the different types that I have already set up. But in these dashboards as well, just like your reports, you can build in those rights to have individuals who are able to see that data and individuals who are not. Again, going back to it, I don't want to have a project manager looking at an executive dashboard because it's not pertaining to them. It's not a part of their role. So we can just limit that functionality so people only see that are on the executive team. Going into kind of what is even a dashboard in the first place? Well, a dashboard is really made up of 3 different components. In the top field here, where we see the margin, a monthly projected margin, project margin, excuse me. What these are our performance cards. So this can be any kind of data that you have in the system, but essentially it's meant to be at a glance, how are we doing on a specific topic? So again, I can see what our active count jobs are. Do we have any new jobs this month? These are something that a project manager might want to see. Again, a controller, we could have a couple different ones. It could be revenue from the month to date, year to date, whatever you want to do. Underneath that is going to be our standard charts, graphs, things like that. So essentially, this is going to give you that visual representation of whatever data that you're looking for. And again, on screen, we currently have our estimate versus our actual. And as you see, I'm hovering over a specific field to show us what is our estimated amount. And then if I wanted to hover over a different field, it also has what our actual amount is. So it's not just a bar graph. You can see down to the cents exactly what where you guys are at on that specific report. Excuse me. So scrolling down over into the project, into this overview, what this is just more of our standard reports. All right. So this is typically going to give us the most level of detail. And in this particular case, we wanted to see just an overview of all the projects, right? What is our contracted amount? What was the estimated amount of, what was the gross profit that we're calculating at that point? And then as we switch over is you can start to see your commitments, your total bills, everything that's cost. So again, it can give you those breakouts, and these are something that is defined for you guys. You guys get to choose what reports you want to see on your individual dashboard. Now, while we go into dashboards, you'll see also that some of them have this little blue kind of link to it or hyperlink to it. And what that's essentially indicating to all of us is this has the capability to do drill down. And what drill down is another way to see more granular data. So in this scenario that we're going to portray, say a project manager calls me and says, hey, Jared, I got a $12,000 charge on here, an invoice or a bill. I'm not recognizing where that is. Can you tell me more about what we need to look at this, right? So what I'm able to do is go into this 275,241 cost on the La Quinta project, able to click on that actual dollar, and it's going to open up the general ledger report in terms of all of that time or anything that pertains to that cost. So again, you see our cost of labor, cost of sales. I'm able to even see here is that Kingston Plumbing with that $12,000 charge that we need to go address. And again, because that's a hyperlink, I'm able to now drill down into that bill. So really here is that what I want to show is, again, sometimes we might not get all the data. We don't get the bill number, but we just get, hey, you need to look here. And you're able to go down that path to find whatever you're looking for. And then again, the nice thing is while we're on that invoice or on that bill or purchase order, whatever, you're able to make any of the necessary changes. Again, pinned to the rights, you're able to make any of those necessary changes directly from this menu. You're not having to jump out of a report or a dashboard or anything like that to the bills modules to find that 1133 bill. Again, just kind of trying to help make that workflow a little bit more seamless, if you will. So as we jump back into the report, or excuse me, into the dashboard, another thing that I want to really highlight on these dashboards is when we're dealing with a multi-entity organization. Currently, you're viewing everything at a top-level view, which is essentially summarizing all of these entities underneath it and the performances of every single one. So as I go down to the general contracting division, or business, I should say, and let me open that up. You can now see that it's going to be the same dashboard, same layout, same view that you are now used to using, but the data behind it's going to change because we're only looking at the general contracting division. We're not looking at every other entity that we have in the organization. So in this particular case, you can see that the active jobs counts have now gone down from 20 to 11. So again, data behind is just going to change based upon that search criteria. Now, when you want to take it that even step further and say we have in that one entity, we might have multiple divisions or locations or anything like that. What that is what Intacct is using is what we call dimensions. And as you see on screen, I'm showing you 13 out-of-the-box dimensions. You guys can absolutely add to this if you want to. You can even repurpose some of the existing ones that come out of the box if they don't apply to you to make them more personalized. But essentially what this will allow us to do is tag different transactions in a meaningful way for us to then report off of. So while we're in here and I wanted to see show me by department and maybe show me my construction versus a service, again, I can click these different options, hit apply, and it's now going to show those different capabilities. You could even do it by location if you wanted to. So if I have, in this case, 3 different locations, the Dallas, the Houston, and the San Antonio, and I want to see an individual office performance, able to do that, and that data behind it is now going to change, but the report won't look differently. It's just different data that's populating. And as always, if you ever need to go back to a historical date point in time to see, hey, how did we do on this a year ago, 2 years ago, or 6 months ago, is you're able to go through the calendar, simply selecting whatever the dates are. I'm just going to say to the first of the year, or even look to last month. I'm able to hit apply. I'm able to see, again, you can see the project margin for the month has now changed. But again, it's just able to have the same information of the layout that you're used to, but the data in the background is now going to change. Okay. So something also to go back and reiterate. So we have these layouts, we have these dashboards. These dashboards are those personalized tools that you don't have to email out to your project manager the project performance every day. They can log into here and be able to see it, but they can also use it in a different limelight that you might be accustomed to. And what I mean by that is a good story I always like to share is I was talking to my brother who works for a large general contracting company in New York City. And I go, hey, what's just something besides like the reports, dashboards, what's something, different that you like to see, on your jobs, or is there anything else that you'll look at? And he goes, well, every now and then I want to see the weather conditions. So if we're doing a new building, is that going to affect the productivity of the site? So I want to see a Doppler radar, as well as we have any cameras on the location in case an incident happens. So what we've done in Intacct is doing that. I'm pulling different data silos from not just Intacct, not just reporting within Intacct, but I'm able to pull it even from external silos. So you're really allowing these users to build personal hubs, I guess, of information, not just in Intacct, but also we have the National Weather Service, so we can see everything that we need to. So again, giving us that capability to really personalize these views and layouts. Another example of that is when we were also on the CFO view or an executive team view. You might want to say, I want to track the 401k performance, see how we're doing, right? And so we're able to connect through different websites to say, all right, we're going to pull in your portfolio and show you all the different prices and where we currently sit for the day and all of that information. So you're getting a lot of these informations that aren't just standard in Intacct or in Intacct. You can also create these from an external thing. So we're really personalizing these layouts. So again, another different view that I wanted to show you. Same kind of principle here, but in this particular case, the data is going to be a lot more different. You can see the revenue that we have, gross profit, any incomes. Just like before, any of these fields can be selected and drilled down. So if you wanted to see more of a report, you can see the cost, the revenue down there. And then when we even scroll further down, you're going to have that standard balance sheets, projected profit margin. Again, these are just some examples that you guys could use of different reports that you've included in here, or different charts or anything like that. Last thing I wanted to highlight with the reports is just in the AP manager side of things. So again, All of these information that we're accomplishing today, this is all live in real time. So when we're looking at these purchasing transactions, or even more importantly, any posted payments that we might have recently done, this is up to date. So as soon as a transaction gets completed, so we run checks, cut a check out to Ace Drywall, that's instantly going to be able to show us directly from this menu. And all of these will also have that kind of same drill down capability. So we're able to see all of the checks. We can print the copy if need be. We can just view that check. But again, it's just the data that you're wanting to see, or that report, how it's laid out. All right. So couple more things I wanted to jump into is I just want to jump over into projects, and then we're going to go and look at one more kind of bonus lightning round. So when we're in projects, and I'm going to open up the projects module, this is a list of all of the active projects that we currently have in the system. You can absolutely track them at different stages. So if you wanted to track something that's being bidded, awarded, pending, whatever that case might be, absolutely we can track all of that information and then build out different views based on that. So in a moment, when I select this jobs here, I know that this is going to show me just my warehouse active projects. And as we see here, here's a list of all of these active projects. All right. Another thing to mention as well is you can have a lot of these views to change, manipulate however we need to see fit. So when we're going over here to the edits field, it's going to show you a list of all the different options. And now I want you to just bookmark these two down here for a second. So again, any option that we want to capture in here, we can save that view and then have this view also be included onto your dashboard if you wanted to have that a little bit more personal. All right. So as I go back and I open up a project, let me go to, let's go to the Sam Jackson Hall one today. So as we open up the Sam Jackson Hall, again, you're going to see a lot of that standard project data is going to capture the individual project, what type of project, the customer, when does it begin, where is it located, and as you scroll down, you can see anyone associated with the project, such as people. Now, the neat thing with Intacct is if we're capturing a lot of this data and say the project goes from, bidded to now it's been awarded, right? As opposed to having you send out an email to the project manager saying, hey, just want to let you know you got a new project. Here it is, more details will come, right? What you can do with Intacct is actually build that logic through those smart rules and smart events. So essentially what the smart events will allow us to do is if a status changes in this particular case, then I want you to email out this field project manager, and we already have their email address with that employee license that we had set up. Email that project manager that the project's awarded, and more details will come. So again, just allowing you to build in kind of some of that automation. Could also be the same thing as with reports. If you wanted to have, say you wanted to send out a report every Monday, you could also do that and build in that with those smart events. Now, smart rules act a little differently. Smart rules say, in order to create a project, you need to submit a project manager in here. That field has to be required. So again, you can build in that kind of logic saying, if you're going to do something, I need you to fill out these fields. Again, it could be on a purchase order as well. I need you to include an attachment every time we do a purchase order. Otherwise, we're not going to go ahead and process it. Again, just giving you that ability to really tailor the system around your guys' unique workflows. Now, earlier I also mentioned to remember those two different fields that I pointed out to you on the previous screens. And what those are is what we call custom fields. And a lot of people get a little nervous about custom fields because they go, well, hey, Jared, I don't have a computer science degree. I'm not really that tech savvy with that. And with Intacct, it's just a separate little setting kind of option. You essentially tell the system whatever the custom field is you want. Do you want it to be a text, a URL, a checkbox, etc.? And then it's where do you want it? Well, I want it under the projects page, under the project info tab. I want you to put a permit or project number. So again, you can have these really tailoring to whatever data that you want to, and then you're able to report off of all of that, even those unique fields or those custom fields. So again, just another avenue to give you that important data that you might be looking for. Now, as we scroll all the way to the right, a couple two options we're gonna discuss a little bit is our estimate. So as you see here, Intacct does that great job of summarizing key data, and then when we want to expand on that field, we're able to see the entire estimate workout or the breakout. Just as a side note, excuse me, estimates can be imported from Excel. So depending upon your system, a lot of software solutions out there will be able to write reports to the Excel format. So you can always just say, put it out into this column, and then we import it directly from Intacct. There's also several systems that will also integrate to Intacct where you don't have to do that functionality. And just as a side note, another side note again, is if you want to see all of those integrations or those different partners that might integrate with Intacct, that's going to be located on the Sage Intacct Marketplace. So if you just type that into Google, you'll be able to see that. And why I always reiterate that is because those vendors have gone through certification with Intacct to say anytime an update happens within Intacct, you will not see that Intacct or that integration break in any way. So they're guaranteeing that when you log in, everything's going to work the way you want it to work or expect it to work. So again, just a little side note on that, but any estimates can be imported into the system, or there are some that will directly communicate with that as well. Cost, obviously our cost codes that are unique to this project will also be able to be displayed, so we can start to track the types, what a percent to complete is on those as well. And then if we want to scroll up is to the top right, you can see purchasing commitments. Those can be also any purchase orders that pertain to that. And you can see there's any subcontracts. So if you want to see all the subs on your job, I can just simply type in subs. It would pull up any subcontracts that we have, the state of those. And then just like we have now known, anything with a blue will allow us to drill into that in more detail. Okay. So again, just a quick high-level overview on the projects side. Last little bonus thing that I kind of wanted to show you guys is more in the cash management side of things. And when we open this up is, again, we can see that we can capture any credit cards, all of our checking accounts that I can also connect to. And so if I open this as well, you can see all of the different bank accounts that we have, run any reconciliation reports that you need to, but you'll also see these bank transactions. What this is going to do is this allowed me to connect my bank account to Sage Intacct. So I believe it's every day or so. I think it's every day or every half of the day or something. The two systems will connect and refresh. So you're seeing a live, essentially, feed of what's happening in your bank. Again, big disclaimer I always mention is you want to check with your bank on if you need to have a certain tier status with them. I know we ran into, I think it was Chase that wanted you guys to have a, I don't know the level of membership, but you need to have a certain level in order for this functionality to work with. So again, just check with your bank first and foremost to see if that can be an option, but essentially you can get entire transactions or exactly see all of the withdrawals, credits, debits, everything from your bank directly from here, and then run those reconciliation reports from that previous menu I saw. So I know we covered a lot, but also not enough. So one last thing I just want to say is I just want to thank everyone for their time today. As we do, well, we'll do the remainder of the times. I'm just going to turn it over to any questions that that may have come up. So feel free to submit all of your questions down in chat, and hopefully I can get them all addressed.
Jared, there is a question about payroll. They're wondering if it's up and running yet.
Yep. So the payroll module is out there. There is several different options that you have in terms of payroll. So Intacct has a built-in construction payroll that is available to us today. If you already have another payroll system, a lot of times we can integrate with those ones as well, but the payroll module is there today.
Okay. We had another question come in. Does it work with service management or replaces service management?
So just would love for you guys to, we might need to take this offline, or we can reach out to your sales rep. So service management, I don't know if you're familiar with the Sage field operations. So we really rely on that best-in-class approach. Just like when you guys build any site or any job site, you guys typically don't do every single thing. Intacct is the same thing. We hire or we work with the best people out there in the marketplace to provide you guys the best option. So service management, there's not a service management module built in there. However, Sage Field Operations is kind of the recommended one we go with, and they have a lot of reports that will actually be displayed within Intacct, so you can see all of your work orders, any service-related information, all within Intacct. But you can still do a lot of those scheduling, technicians, having them be able to fill out purchase orders out on the field, or fill out work orders or their time or anything like that. So I definitely want to take that one a little offline. I'm happy to discuss more with you guys with you specifically of how you guys are doing it today, but there are several different options that we can do.
Anyone else have any questions? Jared covered everything that you needed to know about. It's a lot for sure. So
It's like I said, it's a lot and a lot of information really quickly, and probably didn't go into the depth of whatever you might want to see. So just something to reiterate, feel free to message me, or even more importantly, reach out to your local sales rep and say, hey, I was on the webinar. I want to get more information, or we want to go to more granular of, the accounts payable process or whatever the case might be. We're happy to do that on a one-off basis.